New house. Wow, said the other two sons. Second son says, guys, I've been pretty successful too, so I've decided to buy Mom a brand new car. Wow, said the other two sons. The third son says, well guys, I've given this a lot of thought. And about 3 months ago, after I found out that Mom's eyesight was failing, and we all know Mom's favorite hobby is reading the Holy Bible. And because of her failing eyesight, she can't do this anymore. So what I did a couple of months ago, I bought this huge white parrot. It cost me $25,000. And I sent that parrot down to the local church, and the elders there have taught it to repeat every chapter and verse in the Holy Bible. All Mom has to do now is name the chapter and verse she wishes to hear, and the parrot will recite it for her. Well, the other two sons, wow, what a great gift that is. Well, Christmas comes and goes. A couple of weeks after Christmas, the three sons get their thank you notes from their mother. The first son opens up his thank you note and says, dear son, thank you very much for the wonderful house, but it's much too big for me, and I live in one room, and the heating bills are killing me. The second son opens up his note. Dear son, thank you for the wonderful car, but because of my failing eyesight, I don't drive much anymore, and it mostly sits idle in the garage. The third son opens up his note, and it says, dear son, you are the most wisest, thoughtful, and kindest of all my sons. That was the best tasting chicken I ever ate. 2 years, John, they're all one.
Tony, I let him do that because I know how much you love Doug. So we allowed that today. Listen, a warm welcome to everyone. I told Tony today, when normal people retire, you get a nice big banquet hall and you do something fancy. We've invited you to a freezing cold warehouse because we thought that was the best way to honor people who've served at House of Friendship for 90 years collectively. So, to Ron, Doris, and Tony, who have served this community tirelessly, is who we want to honor and celebrate today. We have a few special presentations for them, and I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you who have come out, colleagues, former colleagues, family especially, for coming out and supporting Ron and Doris and Tony, partners who are here who've served the community together with them. It's just a real treat to be here with you. How many of you have no clue where you are right now? How many of you, sorry, let me ask you that. I'll be a little more specific than that. How many of you have never been inside the Christmas hamper warehouse before in your lives? Perfect. So where you are today, this is where the elves of Waterloo Region hang out, and so today we finished packing close to 4,000 Christmas hampers. Today at 12 o'clock that finished. So in behind you, all these boxes are ready to be delivered. We have 4,000 families that we are going to be delivering to by next Monday, hopefully. So that's what you're also a part of here. Ron, Doris, Tony didn't want to have something individual for them. That's not kind of who they are, so we convinced them that this was a good idea, that if together they would be open to celebrating because they've worked so closely together. So it's kind of special that we can honor and celebrate them together. And so the setting sort of fits who they are. They're the kind of people that just get the job done and have served this community. I want to start today by inviting Chair Ken Sealing up, who has a few words and wants to present Ron, Doris, and Tony with something.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be part of this. I'm going to be very, very brief. I thought it was rather interesting too, shoving in the warehouse, but then I thought, how appropriate. Food hampers for people who have worked in this for so long and done so much for the community. People often ask me, what sets Waterloo Region apart? And I say, it's very special people. And it's events like today that remind me how very special, what kind of special people we have in this community who give so much to the community that give us that sense of stewardship that we all enjoy here. We don't see that in a lot of other communities, but this community is blessed by people who have a sense of stewardship and are giving back. And the three of you have done that in spades. And so I just want to say on behalf of the entire community, thanks for giving almost a lifetime of caring, compassion, and concern for others. Sometimes those of us who are funders and we watch what goes on, but it's actually people in the trenches who do the work that really make it special. So I just want to say a sincere thank you to all of you for doing it, and hope the three of you really enjoy your retirements. I'm sure you're probably going to be volunteers now, are you? Anyway, all the best and thank you.
Can Ron, Doris, and Tony come on up? Grab a picture. Gail's going to grab a picture. Okay.
Memory book.
Thank you, Ken. At this time, I want to invite the community services team up, who have a special presentation and something to share with Doris.
Hello everyone. We are going to look for the rest of our team. Oh, we have Alyssa. Not sure if Matt is around. Okay. Matt Cooper and Rasha from the Better Beginnings Waterloo team is away on vacation, so we don't have her with us. But we wanted to take a couple of minutes to make a presentation to Doris on behalf of House of Friendship. So Doris, at the staff retreat, you may recall that we presented you with a notebook in which you could make meticulous notes for your strategic retirement plan, and we trust that you've been faithfully doing that. Okay. Right. So we want you to be able to refer to those as you get some new direction and plans for the new year. We also trust, because of knowing you, that some of your goals are going to have to do with music and quilting. And so we won't ask you to open this now, but you will find some resources in here, some gift certificates to support you in living out those goals. And so we know that you'll enjoy some certificates for Center in the Square and Creative Sisters. The other thing that you'll find in here, and we want to give credit to Doris's husband Dave for his input, which we really valued in choosing something that we knew that would be appreciated by Doris. So there's a lap quilt in here with an applique of a wishing tree. And we know that trees can be symbolic of so much, and today we want to just focus on the strength and the growth that we observe in trees. And those are two things that we have so much appreciated about Doris's leadership, that you've modeled as a leader, but also that you have nurtured in so many people in your time within House of Friendship. And we will value that and keep that with us and continue to benefit from that. Also, I think with the tree, we trust that the same growth and the same strength is going to carry you well into your retirement years, and we wish you all the best and look forward to hearing your retirement stories in the future.
I'd like to get a picture before you leave.
Doris.
I'm just going to add that there is a card on the table over here for Doris, and you're all very welcome to sign it. There's lots of space.
Can I see those? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda and the team there. At this time, I'd like to call up our housing team, who has a little surprise for Ron.
If I could just ask for everyone from the housing team to come up here. That's here today. Okay, so Ron will, where is Ron? You'll appreciate the significance of the fact that I'm holding notes, because normally I would not hold notes. So, Ron, we want to say 34 years, that's super impressive. And we as a team want to thank you for the 28 years you have served as our Housing Services Director. It was great to have the opportunity to sit as a team last Thursday, where we shared stories and memories and joys and struggles and learning. And collectively, we thought about that, and we thought about all the input from the staff retreat and the memory book and things that people shared, and just want to say that we really appreciate your gifts of strategy and research and learning and relationship, and the combination of those gifts. We feel like you have the unique ability to consider and reflect and connect the dots to make sense of systems and frameworks and stories unique to you that I know I will not be able to duplicate. You've connected deeply with the people that we serve. You've connected with each of us on the House of Friendship team, and you've connected with so many community partners through involvement in countless committees in the community, and we really want to thank you for that. Yesterday, I asked Ron his thoughts. After reflecting about our conversation on last Thursday as a group and the sharing that we did, I asked him his thoughts on finishing the sentence, "This work is." And I want to share with you some of Ron's reflections. So, Ron says, "This work is engaging, purposeful, meaningful, real, stressful, complex, challenging, and educational. This work is a good balance of structure and spontaneity, because there are program, organizational, funder parameters to provide structure, and individuals coming for service with unique needs to provide opportunity to address new circumstances every day. To be truly person-centered within a structure requires that structure creates room, flexibility for spontaneity, or respectfully explaining to the individual why they can't be accommodated. This work is an opportunity to meet people you might otherwise never have had the chance to meet. In other words, you'll be guaranteed to interact with people beyond your familiar circle of like-minded people from the same social group or social place you usually inhabit. This is a lesson in big belonging and how big belonging really is." So Ron, we hope you know the impact that you've made on all of us through your 34 years of service to this community. This small token that we have for you is our appreciation, and we hope you'll carry forward as you travel on your journey forward from here. And we'll let you open it and see what it is.
So if anyone would like to get a picture at some point this afternoon with Ron, we're compiling some pictures and have notepads and pens to add to the memory book, and it's over on the back table for anyone to add to. So we've got a travel book, the Great Canadian Bucket List for Ron. New journey, new adventures ahead. And a pocket watch to symbolize the gift of time that Ron gave to us. Oh, wow.
Engraved. It's engraved. It says RF 34 years.
So this is to go along with the book for his adventures. It is a voucher to take a train trip, or many train trips, wherever you'd like to go on this unknown journey ahead.
Thank you. My parents have traveled by train and said it's great, so I'm gonna do it. Thank you.
Thank you to our housing team. In a few minutes, we will have Ron, Doris, and Tony come on up and share a few profound, deep, and wise, and inspiring words for all of us. But before we get to that, I just want to say a few comments about Tony. Tony's had a bit of a head start on Ron and Doris. So Tony is still doing some part-time stuff, but actually came out of his director level role responsibilities in March. And we were able to honor Tony a few different ways this year, and so, so I'd like to share some of those with you right now. Now, when you've been at House of Friendship for that long, it gets kind of confusing and hard to count how many years, and so Tony, with Pam's help, slowly, yeah, they tried to figure out, and I think eventually they did. There we go. They tried to figure out how many years, but we're really proud. This year, Tony received the inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award at the Volunteer Action Center. So we were just really grateful that the community saw Tony's involvement. What some folks don't know here is, although Tony is very responsible for Christmas hampers, food hampers, but Tony's real passion was with our volunteers, and nothing gets done at House of Friendship without volunteers. We have worked with a neighbor of about 1,000 volunteers each year, and many of them will know Tony throughout the years and have long-standing relationships. So it was great to have Tony honored there. Then after that, I'll go back one. I just want to honor Tony's mom, Connie there, and your family for supporting and sharing Tony all those years with us. And so actually most of Tony's siblings and family were able to celebrate that evening, so it was a really special evening for the family. Then I think just a week later at our own volunteer banquet, Tony set a brand new record at House of Friendship. I believe he received a minimum of 3 or 4 standing ovations. I've never seen that ever happen at a House of Friendship event where someone got that many standing ovations. So we were able to honor Tony in front of our nearest and dearest volunteers. And then lastly, hey, thanks for coming out. So, welcome, Wendy. We were able to honor Tony, as all of you know, last year House of Friendship rebuilt the food hamper program because we believe that families struggling with hunger should be able to come to a place with dignity. And so we were able to rebuild the food hamper program, a beloved program that Tony oversaw for many years. And in the volunteer room, we were able to have an artist create, so it gets lost seeing it in a picture like this, but that is a 3D hand-carved plaque with actual Tony's hand, because symbolic of all the relationships Tony has built with volunteers and has worked with his hands. And so it's just a plaque thanking Tony there that's permanently there in a room where all the volunteers are. And so I think that's, yeah. So those are just some of the ways we've been able to honor Tony over the past year. And so at this time, I'd like to call up Ron, Doris, and Tony. Who would like to go first? All right, we'll do it in, Ron put up his hand first. There you go. Okay, if we can welcome Ron Fleming.
One thing I was going to say was, got to talk into the mic. Okay. One thing I was going to, it doesn't work? Okay. That's better. Okay. I was going to say that this tie, normally this time of year I'd be wearing a silly Christmas tie, but the housing team gave me this House of Friendship tie. It's a one-of-a-kind at the staff retreat, so I thought today was the day to wear a House of Friendship tie. And like Chris was holding notes, I always speak with notes too. So when I started at House of Friendship, as a caseworker in the shelter, we were equipped with a rotary phone and some pens and paper. Things have changed a lot. Because things have changed a lot, but even back then, things had started to change. When I became a supervisor, I got my own office with a typewriter. And after a number of years, we changed from paper stats to an electronic database. That all began in 1983 with what I anticipated would be a temporary job for about 2 years or so. And it turned out to be that House of Friendship was much more engaging than I could even have anticipated or thought it would be. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to residents and to tenants that I've known over the years. I'm grateful to colleagues at House of Friendship and grateful to the community partners and colleagues that I've got to know. Tenants and men at the shelter taught me much. Most importantly, as Chris already alluded, that we all belong. We all contribute. We're all a part of each other's lives, even if we think of each other as strangers. Belonging is the one-word lesson that I take from my experience at House of Friendship. One such lesson in belonging happened with a young man who had spent a lot of time in institutions, and then by the time he hit the street, he came to the shelter. And he was one of these people, when he was around, there was always going to be a disturbance, either with other residents or with staff. And so when he walked into a room, he kind of waited with bated breath to see what it was going to be this time. So one time after I had finished leading my chapel discussion group, I came into the room and said, "I want to talk to you." And I thought, okay, what's the complaint going to be this time? And he said, "I want to sing a song with you." And he named a song in this little songbook that we used for chapel. And it turned out one of the songs that was kind of my favorites too in that little book. So this was kind of, for me, one of those moments where you think back on it over the years and the layers of meaning add up as to what was really going on there. So to me, that was a moment of unexpected belonging with somebody that I thought I had very little in common with. House of Friendship colleagues are a great team. This is difficult work that we do, difficult to the gut level, because we're dealing with gut-wrenching issues that really matter. It's difficult, but it's doable. It's doable because of the team that we have. We don't work alone. This is the best team that I've ever worked with. Colleagues in other organizations are a part of the team. It's truly complex work that we do to build up a healthy community, and it's been deeply engaging to be part of that. I think of the meetings that we had around the beginning of Step Home and how that got going, and then the beginning of rethinking how we're going to do supportive housing with a real transformative change throughout the system. And then, of course, the two-step RFP process for chippy housing. How would you define and draw a diagram of what housing stability is? We did it as a committee of about 30 people. That is also an engaging kind of work. House of Friendship has grown since its beginnings. Even during the years of my time here, House of Friendship has grown not only in how you measure number of programs or people or staff or budget, but it's also grown in soul and influence in the community. And I've heard the story told this way. House of Friendship began as a small prayer group of women who said, let's do what we can. Then we grew into an agency that could do quietly what other people weren't or couldn't. We started an addiction program for people that others thought didn't deserve it. We could birth the Waterloo Region Food Bank out of the basement of Kramer House. We could support a vision for a community center out of the trunk of a car. With the United Way, we pioneered with the Young Women YWCA, we pioneered non-specific supportive housing in our region. And we do all this by walking with people and inviting other folks of vision to walk with us. Now, House of Friendship is a recognized leader in the community, empowering others to do what they thought they couldn't, giving concrete shape to the vision for a healthy community where all can belong and thrive. And I'm proud to have been a part of it. Thank you, House of Friendship, for life-giving work. Thank you to all the partners who do the work with us. Thank you to the tenants and participants who are really the heart of House of Friendship. I can't wait to see what will happen in the next decade or three as I cheer on House of Friendship, and specifically Christine in the new housing services role, and I'm cheering on from the sidelines. Thank you.
Yeah, that should work. It's fine. Thank you to all of you for coming out today. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be part of this event. It's been really a pleasure and a treat to chat with you and celebrate together with you. I think a lot of what I will say will echo a lot of what Ron said. I'm, like Ron, very deeply grateful to have the opportunity to have been a part of House of Friendship and to have served along with so many great people for the years that I've been here, in all aspects, whether they're donors, fellow staff people, participants, volunteers, the whole funders, everyone working together in this community to serve our community. I really feel that House of Friendship has helped shape who I am, probably in more ways than I even realize. It has challenged me, it has stretched me. I've grown in so many ways. I've learned so much. I've learned more about myself as a person. I've learned about community, relationships, inclusion, belonging, all kinds of things that are very important to us as individuals and as a community. And I'd like to think I'm a better person for it. So I just want to say a big, heartfelt thank you to House of Friendship. Thank you for everything.
Speaking last, I'll just say ditto to everything that's been said. Last week I was to see my neurologist in London, and he increased my meds, so my speech may be a bit slurred, so please bear with me. I'm the only staff person I think I am the only staff person working at House of Friendship who knows what the old hostel was. I catch myself sometimes saying the old hostel and everyone else has no clue what I'm saying. So I started working at House of Friendship at 23 Charles Street, and then we moved to what I call the new hostel, which is now 63 Charles. So, and Helen, I think I saw Helen S. here. Yeah. Helen was my supervisor when I started, and I've been going through old files, and I found an orientation package for myself and Dave Hebert. So I started at the old hostel, and then, so we moved to 63 Charles in 1982, I think, or 83. Two. So I've been really fortunate in my work at House of Friendship to grow with the agency as the programs grew. I always consider I was really fortunate to be able to grow with a lot of the new programs. I was very involved in Chandler Mowat. I think Doris talked about a program evolving from the trunk of a car. Well, I was supervising Barb, whose car was the trunk. And then I worked with North Florida Housing. We got a townhouse unit. Then I worked with the city of Kitchener to get portables for Chandler, which eventually evolved into the current community center. So that, I was always felt very honored to be able to try new stuff and new programming. I would say with the community centers, particularly, that they've evolved into programs that just are doing wonderful work and certainly have outstripped anything I ever dreamed they might be doing. So thanks to all the current staff and for all the work Doris has done with leading that area. One of the phrases I used, I think at at the event where at the Volunteer Action Center was, don't be afraid to plant trees under whose shade you never expect to sit under. And I think for the community center, certainly there's lots of things happening there now that are seeds that were planted that I was able to be part of, which I feel very fortunate about. I also worked with many volunteers, as has been mentioned, and certainly when people ask me what I'm going to miss about my work, that's my immediate reaction is I'm going to miss all the people, all the volunteers who have had the honor to work with. I also certainly worked with our food hamper program and Christmas hampers, and the food hamper program in particular, I started working with it when I was in the basement under the front porch of 23 Charles, and now it's moved to where it is now at 12th Street, and with the recent changes we made. It's just amazing how that program's evolved. Oh shoot, I forgot my notes. No, I'm good. And I would say a big thank you to all the staff and volunteers who've worked at our food hamper program, because you've worked under less than ideal conditions many times in that program. Thank you for all your work. One of the themes I would say at House of Friendship, and it's been there since day one, and I think will be there as long as we exist, is we don't have enough space. So that certainly fit the food hamper program, because we moved from the basement underneath the porch under the 23 Charles to the hostel, the 63 Charles to 807 as well. The other thing I would say is one of the things I used to do, this is how I'll finish. One of the things for about 10 years, the Police Foundation course at Conestoga College would ask me to come in to speak to their students because the students had to do volunteer placements. So I'd go and tell them what we do at House of Friendship. About a third of the students were with me, a third of the students looked like they were sleeping. A third of the students, I don't know if they really cared if they wanted to be there or not. But I would always finish by saying this. I could tell when I was finishing up, they were really listening to me. There are just a few things we need in life that we need. So things like adequate food, adequate shelter, adequate clothing. That's all we really need. And everything else in life is a luxury. And so I would challenge them for the things they have. And I would leave that challenge with you as well. Be thankful. Thank you.
Based on those words, this is why all three of them will be so deeply missed. On behalf of House of Friendship's leadership team, Doris, Ron, Tony, you will be profoundly missed. Thank you for your patience, your humility, what you have taught us, what you have modeled for us. I remember coming to House of Friendship 8 years ago, and I was so intimidated to think that I was going to be part of this team that has these legendary Tony Bender and Ron Fleming and Doris Martin. And you took me in, you were patient with me, you taught me a lot. And so personally, I also want to say a big thank you for the honor and privilege of leading with you for the last 8 years. And I know I speak on behalf of the rest of the leadership team here that we will dearly miss you for many different reasons. So thank you on behalf of the leadership team here. The next group I would like to thank is Ron, Doris, and Tony's family. Can you just raise your hand, those of you who are here with Ron and Doris and Tony? I think they're all sort of gathered here, and Ingrid. Can we thank them? Thank you to each of you for sharing these fine folks with us, for being patient with them when they were going through different challenges at work and working extra hard. Thank you for sharing them with us, for inspiring them, for encouraging them during those times. And now we hand them back to you. Now they're yours. So we've done what we can over these 90 years. We don't know what else to do with them, so work with what you got. But based on the wonderful alumni that are here, how many here, if you could just by show of hands, how many Hoff alumni here are joining us here today? So Ron, Doris, and Tony are joining a very esteemed group with the Hoff alumni, and as you could see, once you've been here, you can't leave. So we look forward to seeing what the next chapter looks like with each of you and how we engage with you. And so a heartfelt thank you to you and your families. Lastly, to everyone here today, thank you for taking the time to join us to celebrate. By no means is this over. There's still lots of food here. Please take the time to share some time with Ron, Doris, Tony, grab some pictures, and And for those of you who are feeling like super, super inspired and are like, wow, I just want to do something to honor Ron, Doris, and Tony, all you have to do is just simply walk on over there, and there's a gentleman there who'll give you a piece of paper, and the next thing you'll know, there'll be 5 boxes of Christmas hampers in your trunk, and you can deliver those on the way home, and you'll make the day for the families that you deliver and yourself. So, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. So, like, it was a little bit strategic to have it here. So if you've never delivered, by all means, feel free to if you want. I don't know what else to say except for a heartfelt gratitude for you, Doris, for you, Ron, for Tony. Blessings as you go forward. Thank you for the way, seriously, for the way you have richly blessed us here, but more importantly, for the way your work has blessed our community and the people we serve, which is ultimately why we do what we do here at House of Friendship. So thank you for the gift that you have been to each of us, and we look forward to this next chapter with all of you. Thank you for all of you coming. Please don't run away, and thank you for helping us honor and celebrate Ron, Doris, and Tony. Have a great evening. I almost forgot. There's a little cake we're going to get a picture of with Ron, Doris, and Tony here, and then after that we'll share it with the rest of you. So if Ron, Doris, Tony can come up here for the official cake cutting.
I'm not blocking them. I'm sitting there.
I'll stay here.